Sub-17 once again. This is my wonderful 101. 101% hard difficulty, I think it's called. Video walkthrough. This is Operation 3C, and this is the obligatory boss fight. So at the very beginning you're going to be riding, I think this is a missile, something like a missile, and it's another one of the shmup sections, which is kind of an homage to, you know, your afterburners, and the level in Bayonetta is very similar too. I personally think these sections are shitty. I don't like them at all. That's not because I'm not a good player or I don't like shooting games. It's just because they're not checkpointed well enough to facilitate what they are. So because this is a boss level, there are no checkpoints on it, unless you let yourself die and continue, and then you respawn exactly where you died with no penalty whatsoever. But I don't do that. I don't like that. I want to restart the fight if I fail. I want to learn. I don't want to continue with my mistakes as if they didn't happen. And as much as that's going to help new players, I think it's also going to hurt them in the long run, because it's going to teach them to be lackadaisical rather than, you know, getting better. But once we're through that, we're on this section where we have to now hammer the head of this missile into the core of this vehicle. And to do that, you want to use your Unite morphs to make a ladder, get up here and start hitting it with the hammer. As soon as you see those engines glow, you need to get off the rocket or you're going to be in trouble. And I didn't really understand this part too much, because of course you rode it to get here, which means all the thrusters were working, and when it hit this thing, you would think either all the thrusters would turn off or all the thrusters would continue to be thrusters. And of course, because it's a game and they need us to do something here and they can't just let you have your victory, they have to have a, you know, there be some kind of peril involved. So they turn it into this very strange, is it going to turn on, isn't it going to turn on, which lights are going to turn on, and then occasionally all of them do. And normally if you're patient, you can get through that without taking any damage. But if you commit to staying on that ring and hope that there's going to be one of them that isn't lit up, sometimes they'll all be lit up and you don't have enough time to get off it, and you can take damage like I did. So just be aware of it and carry on. This sequence here, if you do Unite Hammer, you will not take any damage from the raining down missiles. You don't have to have a big hammer, every hammer will work. And then the boss is going to summon these crazy, like, swimming through the earth tremor electrical sword creatures who are very weak to the whip. And you'll notice I pull the first one out with the whip, and then we're going to proceed to hit it with the fist. However, the boss is going to bleed our battery life dead. Oh, I say bleed our battery life dead. He stops us from being able to use Unite Morph, sorry. Which is really frustrating, because this is the opportunity to kill this creature, and the only thing I can do is team attack, because my attacks do shit. So it's an interesting situation to be in. He's doing a laser attack, which you can reflect with the sword, should you choose to. I got hero time off it, and proceeded to smack it with my big fist. It's an interesting boss fight, this one, because it isn't much of a boss until the final part of it, which makes it quite unique, actually. It's definitely one of the ones I least enjoy, especially if you were to go for rank. There's plenty of opportunities here to mess up your rank for no other reason than because the game is super crazy all the time. But here's another one of the creatures, so get your whip on, or stun it, depending on how you decide to fight these creatures. You could freeze it with the bombs and then proceed to hit it with something else, like the whip or the fist. Watch out for the radius where it lands. And then he's going to start doing... The only thing you have to watch with this enemy, once you know how to fight them and you understand how they work, is when they do that crazy circular spinning ground attack, which is electrical and thus cannot be blocked or like... You can avoid it by dodging and get hero time, but it's probably not going to be too useful unless you can launch him with the whip and get him out of the ground. But there goes the second sword monster. And then it spawns in another one. So here we go, another one of these dudes. Remember guys, no checkpoints here if you're going for rank. Oh, and that's a dangerous move that I mentioned. Get away from it when he does that. Very dangerous and very erratic too. But he's going to stick his tail up, so we need to grab it with our whip, pull him out, and then we're going to proceed to hit him with our big fist. So When I'm doing this, because I'm not using all of my team to unite morph, I could be making morphs with my team to attack while I'm attacking to do double damage. It's a really good strategy, folks, but I'm out of the habit of doing it. And the reason is, on this difficulty, because of the battery consumption, you'll have dead batteries in no time whatsoever. So it's often better to, to be a little prudent in your attack and have some reserve, because if you run out of batteries, you can't do anything, and it's a really dangerous situation to be in. And the biggest problem with this difficulty is you've just come off a difficulty where using batteries wasn't an issue, and all of a sudden it becomes one. So all of those habits you picked up that enabled you to build combo meter quickly and kill enemies quickly ends up being something that hinders you in this playthrough, or in your run through this difficulty. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. That was funny, I was doing a different shape. It's just tricky, and it's something that has to be learned. Which is why you probably don't see many style videos of people doing crazy combos, if there exist any, on this difficulty, because of the battery consumption. But here is the boss, and it's another one of those sections where we're doing something that isn't direct gameplay, and it's not something you've done too frequently, so getting used to it can be tricky on the fly while you're doing it. And for this, I like to hog this bottom right hand corner. It seems to work really well. I also do circles around the screen. My only criticism of this moment, aside from how poorly the game checkpoints it, is it feels kind of sluggish. To give you this, illusion of inertia and momentum, they've intentionally made it a little less responsive than I would have liked it to be, and it just, I don't think it makes it feel fun. I think it makes it feel more of a chore than anything else. And there are only a few instances where the game does it, and I understand what they were trying to do. It's just not to my particular tastes is all. I'm sure there's people who love those moments, just probably not the rank runners who fuck up there and have to do all those fights you've just witnessed again, which is really sad. But this is the brunt of the fight. So we're on top of one of those crazy probes from Star Wars, and then we're fighting this guy, and he's going to attack this machine we're on with his giant circular saw hands. And from this point you can beat up his circular saw hands, because you'll notice they have those orbs on them which you have to break. And that vehicle that's just pulled up there, that kind of crazy chin hook chopper machine, is going to drop off supplies so that you can always have 100 men on it. And whenever it attacks this platform, you're not going to be on it for much longer, because you're going to have to jump onto another one, as we're doing right now. And this is going to happen as many times as necessary before you beat it. And after every jump, he's going to attack the platform with his Dr. Octopus hands. And then the last one... Oh no, that's a little bit later, excuse me. So from this point onwards, you can attack his face, as you just saw then. Some pretty decent damage too, and this is the move you want. This is the move you can counter. So once you get out of the way of it, he leaves one lingering in the ground, and you have to have your hammer on to counter-attack it. Because you wonder yellow will smash it into the ground, and then you have to walk up it. In this very strange balancing moments that this game has. And then once you land on this, you can come over to here, you can hit this, and then we can beat up the boss. So, I don't recommend... Oh, lost my words then. I don't recommend using the big hammer like I just tried to do. Undeniably, it does massive damage, but the time it takes to swing it, you could have done more damage probably with a big hand. Or a combination of something else, depending on how you like to cause damage. As a fucking motorbike tears past. Oh, the red lights here display where the missiles will land. You can get hero time off them, but you cannot block them, unless perhaps you use the hammer. But here comes the circular saw, so you can use this opportunity to get some quick damage on it. All the time you can be attacking the boss's face, it's just sometimes if you get caught up attacking his face, you can get into a spot where you take a hit and you don't realise. This can be countered, so jump on it, and then you have to draw a hammer. I never draw a big hammer, it doesn't pay off ever. I always end up getting a different shape by the end of it. It's just easier to draw a smaller one. Look at that battery consumption. I wanted to try and hit all of them at the same time just then with the big sword, and it kind of worked, but it ended up shooting me in the foot because I ran out of batteries. Luckily enough, we were able to to do a lot of damage before we got kicked off, and then he comes back to do his big swings. And I'm hoping here that I'm going to clip it and it'll die, and it'll maybe give us another opportunity to bum him a little bit. Here's his swing again, so we're going to be jumping away. And I like the idea of these moments, but I think they take too long. And I assume that they're masking loading, because you'll notice on the previous mission when we were in the water against the metal octopus, it would hit that rock and go over that waterfall if that fight took, you know, kind of long, and it would loop it, and it would keep happening. And this is a very creative, imaginative, awesome and ambitious game, but it would be really nice to have seen maybe a few different animations for those traversal moments, and maybe a few of them less elaborate so that they were quicker. Because when you have one animation for anything and you see it in close proximity, you notice it, and it can be a bit of a shame, because if there was one or two others that could happen, you wouldn't, and it'd just give you that feeling that you were constantly doing something different, and that's something this game does really well, except in those moments. And it's a very slight thing that, you know, maybe only I mind as I try and open this thing and get some big hits, and I'm not listening to, you see what I mean? I didn't even have enough time to hit him after I'd built my Unite morph, so the hammer is not the way forward, guys. Here come more missiles. I keep on putting the gun so I can shoot him, but the gun has problems. Not only does it fire your stock of people, but it's really difficult to aim the heavy one, and you'll often get the heavy one by accident. So it might be a good idea to turn it off if you're like me and you're not the biggest fan of it, although during the recording phase, what you're watching here, I was trying to experiment with it because it was new, and I was trying to see if it had any situations where it really benefited. And if you can hit this guy's face with a full burst, it is really powerful. It's just not easy to do, because you can't really aim it. As I fail to draw a hammer, and I get thrown off just then. So, not the best performance, or I thought, anyway. You probably agree with me, but you might be surprised. But strike it, jump on it. And you see what I mean? This is one of those moments where it takes a little bit too long to get to the action, I think. And if it wasn't for the music in those instances, they would feel exactly like what they are. A little bit too long. Like, they could give you the option to do the hero jump, and it'd be more impactful than that crazy balance walk. Ooh, that was a great hit just then. You'll notice I'm also using the other morphs to attack while I'm swinging, because I've realised I'm just not doing enough damage as quickly as I would like. And the boss only has one arm now, so we're gradually getting him there. He's also moving on to yellow, which is his final life bar, as he breaks another side of this. Ooh, face laser. Or is it face... yeah, face laser. You can hit this back with the sword and it does do damage. I wish it did more damage, but it's still cool. That time, apparently, my swing wasn't good and it hit my team. Here he goes again. We're going to have to jump, and we get to punish his blade. But it's very formulaic. It's got a rhythm to it, and, you know, once you commit all this to memory and you know exactly what you're doing on each stage, you can probably kill this guy very easily and very quickly. But because I have gaps between playing the Wonderful 101, because there's so much else to play right now, when I come back to it, I just forget a lot of stuff. I've got the muscle memory, I've got the drawing down, and I generally know what to do once I realise where I am, but I still don't have, you know, the full knowledge of this is what comes next, this is what I do next. So a lot of the strategies you're watching are just responding and reacting to what the boss is doing, which can be perfectly fine and acceptable in most cases, but every so often it does get me killed. But this is a long game. It's a surprisingly long game. Every level pretty much takes anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour to complete, even if it's a short one. You know, they don't feel that they're that long, and then at the end it took you 50 minutes to do it. It's really good value for money. Interesting pacing too. But the levels definitely make you feel like you've done something, because they do take a while. But there goes his circular sword. We bounce up onto his head, and then we get to hit the button once more. And then we get to beat him up. So I got a swing in there and I did set off a blade, but we had barely any time to hit him, which... that exists in a lot of games, and it's one of those restrictions that they put on the player to make it more challenging that I think everybody would agree is frustrating, because you get up there finally and you're like, I didn't even get a chance to do one bit of damage, really, game. But walking again, and then back here, thankfully. So now, hopefully I'm going to get some swings off. There goes the circle, there goes the whip attacking by itself, because I sent out some Wonder Pink. There's the sword, and there is the last scrap of the boss's life. So here we go. This is it. Time to beat his ass. So he charges the laser, fires it at us, it splits, and do we want to jump? Oh yeah, we're going to jump on each of these. Oh, that was close. But there goes the cutscene, so you have to draw the whip. So you can grab the chain, get onto the S-U-N. I can't remember the name of this. It's something Justice, I think. It's a hilarious ship. There's Wonder Blue bringing out the sword. This one will be a 100 ones. Get the full 10,000 bonus. This game's just had some cheats released as well. The developers forgot to tell people about them, and I believe you can buy those hidden characters that you have to do crazy things to get, which is really cool, because I think I'm going to do that. Because I don't even know what half the requirements are to find some of those people, let alone do them. And I'm lazy, so it's easier for me to do that and I get to play as them. But here is a destroy your analog section. Hashtag remove all destroy your analog sections in future games. Platinum, they don't work, don't like them. There's Wonder Gun. Get to tap that button now, shoot some dudes. Nice bonus onto the old money stack. Here comes Wonder Hammer. Finish him off, Wonder. Here he goes. Big hit. And then just maim him with the hammer. I love this game. It's got such a great sense of humour. But thank you very much for watching, folks. Pretty long boss. You can do it much quicker. You'll just have to be a little bit more experienced than I am. Or have the Unite Big, which will probably wreck that boss really quickly. But yeah, thanks for watching. You take care now.